In your Dynasty Superflex startup drafts, you have to draft Jordan Love at this current mid-second round price. I don't understand how even within the same tier, and maybe it's a hot take for me to say this, but in the effective beginning of a tier for me, shaded toward, of course, well, the back of a tier, with Joe Burrow to Jordan Love, we're talking about a round difference. We're talking about a mid-first startup pick versus a mid-second startup pick. That value, I'm smash drafting Jordan Love in that second round. For me, he's a guy that is going to ascend in value. He just put up a top 5 finish at number 5. Per game, it wasn't a fluke. We're talking about 6 or 7. With Jordan Love, it's a great situation there in Green Bay. He's got a young upstart situation in terms of coaching in the floor, but not really at the end of the day, given his experience, but moreover, the offense in general. We're talking about Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Zontavian Wicks, a bunch of guys that just showed up out of seemingly nowhere. And then we're talking about a running back group that has now a Josh Jacobs and a Marshawn Lloyd added to it as well. Tight ends, you've got Musgrave, of course. You've got Kraft, who stepped up. Speaking of LaFleur and coaching, apparently the most notable, the biggest jump he's seen over the course of a year by any rookie in Tucker Kraft. We're talking about incredible circumstances. Obviously, the production, what we see, where we are, is an awesome first year for Jordan Love. And how it looks beyond, look, we're talking about a contract that's inbound. Jordan Love, all the factors, man. I just don't see how he drops really lower than this in startups. He's a guy that's bound to be at least your 1-2 turn when he goes out there and produces a similar type season in 2024 in year 2 starting for him after he gets that incredible contract extension. We're talking about with Jordan Love, a guy that put up, well, speaking of Joe Burrow, the reason I'm comparing these two, a very, very similar in terms of statistical, a fantasy year that Joe Burrow did in year 2 when he led his Bengals as a second-year quarterback to a Super Bowl, a really close but tough loss ultimately to the LA Rams. So we consider that strong season by Joe Burrow that really started to cement a lot of his perception, and I think to a large degree, a lot of his staying power in your mid-first of your startups. Ultimately looking at where Jordan Love is positioned right now as effectively number 16 overall on a keep trade cut, number 20 overall on the Flock community rankings, and then even doing some research for this video, relevant Maye YouTube community, Dynasty community, startup drafters, mock drafters at least. We're talking about over Dynasty domain, over 3 mocks over there, and then a BDGE mock. We're talking about between pick 18 and 19, the 206, 207 range for Jordan Love. I just don't understand how you can't run the card in, spend more than 10 seconds when you're on the clock in that range to draft you a Jordan Love. Really don't have to go far at all to find our next player that is a must draft at this current cost in Dynasty. We're talking Puka Nacua, right next to a Jordan Love in terms of that mid-second range. In startups, in the community rankings, and the community sentiment, we're talking about a Puka Nacua who put up a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase-like rookie year. Okay, right smack dab in between those two players. Broke records that hadn't been broken for 60 years. I think I'm even underselling that. We're talking about a player in Puka Nacua who, given the day 3 pick label, people just aren't able to shake that as much as similarly, even with the Jordan Love just discussed, as a late first-round pick quarterback. At receiver, oh, you weren't a first-round pick receiver, or even day 2 at that. I just don't understand with Puka. You see the body of work. He was a top 5 wide receiver. And again, just because he played all the games, it didn't mean he was lackluster. Top 6, 7 per game. We're talking about a guy in Puka Nacua who is there to be the focal point of that LA Rams passing offense. So even if Matthew Stafford, we play out, okay, Stafford, is he gone? Is McVay going to be gone? Are they going at the same time? Are they going to leave in 2025 and 2026? Let's just acknowledge where we are, where we just saw a record-setting rookie year for a wide receiver, albeit not one of the day 1 receivers like a JSN or an Addison or a QJ like we had hoped. But nonetheless, we're talking about an incredible situation in terms of fantasy-relevant offense and the fantasy-relevant skill set to be a 100-plus target, 100-plus reception rather player after the catchability, touchdown frequency, maybe not insane, but you look at down the stretch, you look at in the playoffs, he is a go-to player. So just think about where we stand in the receiver landscape. We're talking about guys like Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, for context, it took him till year 3 to do what Puka Nacua just did in year 1. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, now Marvin Harrison. And I see all those guys consistently going ahead of Puka. And let me make it clear, he is my wide receiver 5. He is in effectively the top of tier 2. If I'm still acknowledging, if you want to make a little bit of a tier break, he is ahead of, to be clear, Marvin Harrison Jr. We have insane expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm calling a spade a spade. If Puka Nacua was drafted anywhere close to where Marvin Harrison Jr. was drafted, are we really having this conversation where it's an automatic at the 1-2 turn, you opt for a Marvin Harrison Jr. over a Puka Nacua 6-7 picks later? We're talking a 208, 209? That is criminal. It has to be hesitance of shaking rather the label of, well, he was a day 3 pick. If Jordan Love isn't there, you got to run the card in for Puka Nacua. What would this video be about startup values at current cost, players that are absolute must drafts without mentioning some rookies? And we're talking about first, Odunze, who depending on KTC or Flock community, we're looking at anywhere from 32, 36 overall. In the startup mock ADP, in those 4, we're talking about 38 overall, even lower. And I think a function of that, honestly, talking about values in Dynasty, obviously Sleeper being the most prevalent platform, this time of year is an incredible, incredible time to capture in when people are sleeping on the ADP, not scrolling down farther enough. That's time for you to capitalize, because I don't understand how Odunze is being valued here barely, sometimes not even worth a 3rd-round pick, apparently. Situated, valued within guys like an Ayuk, Olave, a London being preferred ahead of him. You look at especially those guys that are heading into year 3 in particular with Olave, with Drake London. We're talking about guys that put up either nice production in year 1, year 2, or now have a great situation. Odunze is in a relative best of both worlds, how he's positioned. We're talking about a guy who absolutely is capable of putting up an 1,000-yard season in his rookie year. Absolutely. I don't think that is a hot take at all. 17 football games. It's nothing if you think about it on a per-game basis. You're connected to Caleb Williams, the heir to seemingly the Dynasty throne, being connected to him for the next 10+ years. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, they're there, of course, but they're already in their primes or effectively out of it. Odunze, we think about where he stands, projecting out where he stands going into year 3 compared to these guys. Way above this 3rd-round pick, barely 3rd-round pick price. We're talking about where Puka Nacua is valued right now in that mid-2nd round, and possibly, frankly, even higher, given when guys like CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson graduate a little bit out of that 24, 25, 26-year-old range. Mentioning his name once again, Marvin Harrison Jr., Odunze. You had Malik Neighbors in between. That is the tier 1 of this receiver class. I just don't understand how, even with the insane pedigree, nice projected path to being relevant, potential Puka Nacua-esque season, possibly for Marvin Harrison Jr. in year 1, I don't understand in my right mind how we're talking effectively 2 rounds, give or take, of startup difference. If you're not used to it already by now, what would this video be if I didn't mention Drake Maye? Drake Maye, a guy who's 41st in Keep Trade Cut rankings, 32nd on Flock. The community ADP in the startup mocks, we're talking 39.25. We're talking right after Odunze. We're talking barely top 40? Barely a early 4th-round pick? Are we out of our minds? Are you, is the question I'm asking. Are you out of your minds? Because I am not, okay? I would in no right allow a Drake Maye to slide past my 3rd-round pick, let alone, frankly, even my 2nd-round pick, a late 2nd-round pick especially. With Drake Maye, we're talking about the 3rd overall pick, a guy that everything looks so terrible. People are assuming the absolute worst. People are looking at training rookie minicamp videos based on throwing a football versus Jaden Daniels, the time to throw, the release. What do people not understand about different touch on the ball, different launch points, different routes, different tempos, designs of plays. Just let's let it happen. Let it happen. Please let this happen. This screams to me, Drake Maye. This is like a Jamar Chase. He can't catch the footballs because they don't have stripes on him. Rookie minicamp, training camp, preseason, a receiver comparison, so to speak. I don't understand this at all. It's fear of failure dominating to a large degree here, which is just not the way to play. It's Dynasty. It's not redraft. We're not just swinging for the fences to try to compete in this year. We're not just trying to play it safe to be, in the mix this year and in the mix next year. But then all of a sudden people age out. There's no upside. You're stuck in the middle, not getting a prime player. We're talking about the guy that's been tasked with being the franchise quarterback of the Patriots, who, of course, don't look great. This screams to me of the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud situation all over again. The situational, it's a cesspool, it's a mess. Obviously, the year before, for them to be as bad as they were to get in the position to pick, the quarterback wasn't there. Now that they are there, they have the ability on their own to impact, to change the course, the direction of a team. You're not purely just a function of your environment. You got to put them in the best position that you can, which is totally fair and totally reasonable. But at the end of the day, a certain talent, as a franchise quarterback, you can elevate players around you, and you can rise to the occasion, so to speak, in terms of certain shortcomings. With Drake Maye, I have been convicted in him as a prospect, and the fact that people aren't to this degree in startups is sickening to me. What is the actual risk to you as your potential fourth player that you pick to add to your startup when you could have a player that has every possibility to be a first round startup pick? For me, a top half of the first round potential startup pick. And given how low people are setting expectations, what does he have to really do to all of a sudden make good, improve upon this early fourth round ADP? Why is TJ Hockenson an early sixth round pick now? Why? He ended up finishing as a top 5 tight end. Obviously, he misses the final 2 games due to the injury, and obviously there's a road to recovery there. The guy isn't dead. I don't know what people are doing, allowing the tight end to so consistently, so consensusly, if that's a word, the majority of the last season and 2. We're talking about TJ Hockenson, the guy that was on a per game level, depending on format, number 1, number 2. We're talking about a guy that's a difference maker at the position, and now he's tight end 6. It's Dynasty, not redraft. What are we doing? I know Kirk Cousins is no longer there, but what are we thinking JJ McCarthy's going to be? A running back? That all of a sudden Kevin O'Connell's just going to be like, JJ, do you like TJ Hockenson? Nah, I'm good. Okay, we'll only throw it to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones. All right, sounds good, coach. That's all I want. Like, what is the thought process to having TJ Hockenson slip into the 6th round of startup drafts? He is going to return and play football at some point in 2024. Have people just lost sight of that? It's injury, overreaction to a totally unnecessary, unwarranted degree. Top 36, top 40 to now out of the top 60. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It does make any sense to me. This is the lowest TJ Hockenson is going to be for who knows how long. If you're in position to pick TJ Hockenson in your 5-6 turn, hell, even in your 4-5 turn, if that's not clear with what I'm saying, all over getting a TJ Hockenson, a difference maker at the tight end position. How are we letting TJ Hockenson slip behind the likes of a Tank Dell, a Zay Flowers, a Jordan Addison, his own partner in that offense? You're telling me he's the 3rd option in Dynasty in Minnesota? Why are we drafting fringe top 20 players at their own position over a guy that can be the difference maker at his position? Guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. You maybe agree or maybe completely disagree with the players I've identified here as must drafts at their current value, their current community sentiment, tangible ADP, the actions, the bets people are making or rather not making with these players. I will be back very shortly with, the flip side of who I really don't want to draft given their current value in ADP. Have a great one, guys. I will see you in the next one.